Despite the abundance of rich resources of the world in the possession of Africa, ever wonder why the people yet run yet scatter in search of greener pastures? But at the end, only to get drowned in the Mediterranean in the name of migration to Europe. Well, here is a quick answer to that: France. Hello viewers, you're welcome to Know Halfway. The law states that the poorer are these people, the richer and better is France. Above all, they must remain poor for France to be rich. The destructions, the blood, the death, suffering, marginalization, injustice, corruption, and never-ending poverty of these people are the milk and honey of France. It is so to serve the best interest of France, yet the hypocritical communities that call themselves human rights organizations remain blind to these French injustice in Africa, but only pressure these people about human rights only when it's time for immoralities. Some of these African countries are 40 in numbers, and they are stated as follows: Benin Republic, Burkina Faso, Ivory Coast, Mali, Niger, Senegal, Togo, Cameroon, Central African Republic, Guinea-Bissau, Equatorial Guinea, Chad, Congo-Brazzaville, and Gabon. France manipulates these 14 African countries via a degenerative financial tool called the CFA franc, a currency issued by the French Treasury and attached to the euro only at the risk and expense of these people. The leaders of African countries can be corrupt and not working in the interest of their citizens, but even if they wanted to be honest leaders, they would not be able to do so. How could this happen? After World War II, the colonial pact maintained the French control over the economies of these African states. It took possession of their foreign currencies reserves. It controlled the strategic raw materials of these countries. It stationed troops in the country with the rights of free passage. It demanded that all military equipments be acquired from France. It took over the training of these African countries' police and military. It required that French businesses be allowed to maintain monopolistic enterprises in key areas such as water, electricity, ports, transport, energy, etc. France not only set limits on the imports of range of items from outside the franc zone, but also set minimal quantities of imports from France. These treaties are still in force and operational till this very minute. Over half a century, it has been France's strategic interest in Africa, reporting only to one person, the President of France. So these are the obvious reasons why these African countries are yet to be independent, because they are forced to depend still on the French economy, French military, and the open door policies for the French private enterprises. These countries are being held down by France's oppressive and heartless strategies by forcing them to pay a colonial debt. Besides being forced to pay a colonial debt, these 14 Western and Central Africa countries have their national reserves held by France into France's central bank. It is estimated that France now holds nearly $500 billion every year of these African countries' money in its treasury and will do anything to keep it. Moreover, the African countries do not have access to this money. In fact, 65% of foreign currencies reserves of these countries are into the French treasury, plus another 20% for financial liabilities, thus leaving these countries to access only just 15% of their own money. France holds, invests, and trade with these countries' money, and any returns are France's entitlement. If these countries ever demand for more, they have to borrow their own money from France at a commercial rate. Thus, these African states are French taxpayers, but their citizens are not French, and do not have access to public goods and services their money helps to pay for. My question is, do French people know they have been living off the wealth of these African countries and have been doing so for over half a century? And if at all they know, do they care at all? Please leave your thoughts below and don't forget to follow this channel so we can share ideas again. See you soon.